Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I wish to extend my very warm welcome to all distinguished colleagues and delegates under the topic of the current issue in Myanmar. We will now reveal the story behind the military coup in Burma. Before we get into the story, please let my group, which consists of Liang Hoa, me, Pisai, and Pei, introduce you guys to the basic information of the country, such as geography and politics, economy and culture. First of all, Myanmar, also known as Burma, has the official name the Republic of the Union of Myanmar. It's a country located in Southeast Asia with a total area size of 676,578 square kilometers. Myanmar is a home of 54.6 million of people and the official language is Burmese. On January 4, 1948, the nation became independent from British colonization. Its capital city is Naypyidaw and the largest city is Yangon. Myanmar joined ASEAN on 23 July 1997. It is bordered with Bangladesh, India, China, Laos, Thailand and Andaman Sea. In politics, the power is divided into three branches including the executive, legislative and judiciary. For the executive branch, President Win Myint is the current head of state government since Myanmar Parliament had elected him as the country president on 28 March 2018. However, the state councillor of Myanmar is Aung San Suu Kyi, who is the leader of the ruling party, namely the National League for Democracy. The legislative branch consists of a bicameral assembly of the union in which there are House of Representatives and House of Nationality. For judicial branch, the Supreme Court of the Union is the highest court and the subordinate court include High Court of the region, High Court of the state and many more. Now I would like to give the other part of Myanmar to my team member Peng to illustrate.
Thank you, Gita, for the nice introduction with some of Myanmar background. And now let me continue with the economics and culture. For economics part, Myanmar is the nation in transition seeking to break the past violent by authoritarian rules, economic failure, and many conflicts that still continue today. According to the trending economics before the pandemic in 2019, the total GDP was $76.09 billion and the GDP per capita was $1,608.50. Additionally, the United Nations Development Programme also reported that human development indeed value of Myanmar for 2020 was 0.583 and ranged at 147. The important sector on which Myanmar economic rely on are agricultural sector, which value for 38% of GDP and 70% of the workforce in 2018. Moreover, Myanmar earned over $3.6 billion from the export in 2019, while import value at over $6.3 billion from the goods and the services. And lastly, as we already know, Myanmar currency is kyat-based. Moving on to the next part, which is culture. Myanmar is also known as one of the Asia's most diverse ethnic nation. According to the Insight Guard, Myanmar is consisted of 135 separate ethnic groups living within the union that classify into the 7 main groups, including Bama, Shan, Kachin, Kayin, Rakhine, Chin, and Mon, each of which have its own stage. The biggest population from the majority ethnic group is Bama, which is about 69% of the Myanmar population, Shan 9%, Kachin and Kayin 7%, Rakhine and Chin 4%, and Mon 2%. Due to this diversity, the Burmese also have the different belief in the religion. Most of the population identify as Buddhist with 87.9%, Christian 6.2%, Muslim 4.3%, Arab 0.8%, and Hindu 0.5%. And now I would like to give the other part of Myanmar to my team member Pisai to display more about Myanmar. Please welcome.
Thank you, Payne, for giving me the floor. So now I would like to draw your attention into our next point, which is the current issues in Myanmar.
The Myanmar 10 years journey to democracy seems to be over as there's a military coup d'etat who's back in power again on February 1st, 2021, that led by the Army Chief Senior General Min Aung Hlaing. Before discussing on this issue, let's briefly look back into the past event. Myanmar used to be put through 50 years of military rules, and the country was closed off to the world. Since 2011, the people experience and enjoys the 10 years of a much greater freedom in terms of information, media, communication, civil society, and many more. However, the coup returned the country to a full military rules after a short span of a quasi-democracy that began in 2011, when the military, which had been in power since 1962, implemented parliamentary elections and the other reforms. So there has been a question asking that why the coup happens now? Well, the National League for Democracy Party of Aung San Suu Kyi won the another landslide in November. On the other hand, the military dispute and reject the result, claiming it was a fraudulent and irregularity, which the military junta started to maintain their power again. And that is all for my part. And for the further information, I would like to hand the floor to Leng Hoa to further proceed.
Thank you, Pisay, for giving the stage to me. Now let's continue on the point that Pisay has mentioned earlier. The military regime, so-called Tatmadaw, arrested the politician and occasionally shut down internet and social media sites, while Facebook removed hundreds of pages linked to the military. At least 500 people have been killed and more than 2,665 people, including some journalists, have been arrested in violent crackdown by security forces. In addition to the violence, Myanmar is facing a serious economic crisis with rising food and fuel prices stemming from the coup, according to the UN World Food Programme. Speaking of this, there is a hot discussion and question why the military staged this coup now. One theory is the Commander-in-Chief Min Aung Hlaing worried about plan by the new government to bring in reform in constitution. And another theory is that Min Aung Hlaing was acting in his own self-interest. To respond in this issue, several major world leaders quickly condemned the coup, demanding that Myanmar military immediately free Mrs. Aung San Suu Kyi and the other detained government officials. Along with this, the US, EU, and the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres have also made similar criticism to strongly condemn the escalating violence against protests in Myanmar and call on the military to immediately halt the use of force against peaceful protesters. Unfortunately, China and Russia, who has close relations with military, both blocked a UN resolution condemning the coup. That's all for my presentation, and here are the references that we collected information from. Last but not least, thank you everyone for your participation. I hope you guys stay positive and test negative. If you have any question, feel free to ask. Once again, thank you everyone for watching this video.